Good morning and welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. My name is Lincoln Shrike, joined today by Gordon Mack. It is Wednesday, October 14th. All right, that's where we're at on the calendar. Thanks for joining us today. You can email the show, flotrackpodcast@gmail.com. Full disclosure, we were struggling to come up with a topic for today. We're kind of in between track events, and we have a little cross-country this weekend, but it's too early to preview that cross-country meet just yet. So we had to get creative with our ideas. But I'll start asking you, Gordon, as I always do. How are you doing today?
Doing good. It's hump day. So it's hump day of the podcast. So we're just trying to get to the other side where we can start previewing the action next weekend. I am kind of nervous, though. Once next weekend is done, it's going to be a lot of slim pickings for things to talk about in the running world because we're running like the World Half is going to be the last major event probably of 2020. And then cross country, I mean, once BYU and NAU pack up and go back home, you know, cross country doesn't really have its same kick that we're going to need. The excitement level is going to kind of go down, right? BYU versus NAU is going to be a lot more exciting than any SEC, ACC, Big 12 conference championship. But, you know, do what we can. I'm excited. I'm going to it. I'm going to the meet. I leave Friday, come back Saturday. So it should be fun. I started texting some of the coaches, hey, I'm coming. They're like, what? So it'll be good. It's going to be good.
Mm-hmm. What rules are you having to follow when you're going to this? Do you have to get tested before you can be on the course, or how's that working as far as COVID is concerned?
I haven't been told I need to be tested, so I wasn't planning on it. I'm sure it's just the typical don't crowd, don't kiss people.
Don't cough on people.
Don't cough on people, don't hug people, keep your distance. So I got to make sure. The only thing I'm worried about, I was thinking about, is like making sure people can hear them on a camera interview, because if they're too far away, you won't be able to hear them. So I have to make sure it's not like, because sometimes it's super windy at places, right? And if it's so windy and they're talking, you're not going to be able to hear anything. So that's the only thing I'm worried about, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. In the end, I'm excited to be going. Get some good content.
Of course. Well, I'm excited to see the content you come up with, to be honest. And you're going to film the races, right?
Yes, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to film them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I have experience on that cart. Now, the course was different, but I have experience on that lead cart at Oklahoma State. A little bumpy, and when you have never filmed really much of a race before, that makes for incredibly poor footage. So you have to turn your arms into a tripod and do the best you can to hold on. I think the course is smoother these days, so hopefully you come up with better footage than I did in 2014. I think the bar is quite low because that footage was unwatchable. But I'm excited to see the results, not only to watch that race, see how the course plays out, and see what you can come up with as far as interviews. You know, you watch the big networks, ESPN, they have these fancy setups with microphones, long microphones that we can do interviews with. I don't know if we're going to have that at our disposal, so you may just have to scream at people and expect them to scream back as they answer your questions.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm sure it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. In other news, there was some kind of a little bit of a side breaking news that I texted some college track coaches, hey, what does this mean? A lot of them were kind of like, wait, what? They're like kind of like, I'm not sure. Let me get back to you. Mm-hmm. But Jeff Goodman of Stadium, he tweeted out yesterday, D1 Counselor has voted in favor of giving additional year of eligibility to winter athletes. Source told Stadium, won't be official until close of tomorrow's, which is now today's meeting, since it could still be brought back for reconsideration. But they voted in favor of giving additional year of eligibility to winter athletes. I'm guessing that means, I don't think that is for last year's athletes who lost. I think it's for this year's athletes who may not want to compete because of COVID or may have a weird season because of COVID. So, but that does mean though that
we need clarification on that. That, I mean, it wouldn't make sense that they would be providing that eligibility 7 months on, right? I thought they did already decide when it comes to last year's winter athletes that they weren't going to give them eligibility,
Yeah,
correct?
correct.
Okay. So this,
Right.
yeah, that point, I'm sure Jeff Goodman had already made that point, but that needs to be a little clear that
Yeah.
referring to the upcoming winter athletes, if they either opt out or if there's somehow not a season, then maybe they get extra eligibility.
Yeah, I think it's implied. I think it's this year's athletes, but that means it's going to be like cross country, right? Because all the athletes who are running cross country right now, and whether they run cross country in March as well, none of that counts towards their eligibility. And now we're going to say the entire indoor season, if we have one, is going to count towards eligibility. It's
It's
just
a
going to
free
be,
year.
yeah, it's a free year basically, free real estate. That's what they say, right? Free real estate. But people are going to start getting old, right? We're going to start. Everyone's going to be like BYU on that track.
Oh, I
Everyone's
could
going
have
to the
seen that
BYU
one
level.
coming. Wow.
But it is crazy.
Wow.
Like if you're a fifth year this year and you were planning on like you now get to do a 6 year, and what if you're a medical redshirt 6 year in the year of 2020/2021 school year? You'll be able to come back for a 7th year just like that. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw with athletes that were of a high caliber, I'm not saying this is only applied to high caliber athletes, but we saw a lot of student athletes elected to just leave to go pro or to just graduate. There's other factors. So it I imagine the situation will be like it was last year, where it won't apply, or not as many people will accept that extra year of eligibility as first anticipated. But yeah, it will provide that opportunity if you can figure it out. You can figure out the grad school classes to take. I mean, they deserve this, right? For having their career, upended due to this pandemic. So, I was making fun of or questioning the NCAA because there's always a qualifying statement after it seems like a decision has been made, and this one was won't be official until tomorrow's meeting, since it could be brought back for reconsideration. It seems like there's nothing definitive when it comes to NCAA councils and executive committees and all this. It's hard to understand exactly the bureaucratic process of the NCAA, but yeah, this makes sense, and it obviously foreshadows that everyone is anticipating that this upcoming winter season is not going to be like a normal one, and obviously the pandemic's still going to be going on in this country, and it allows the athletes to make a decision without risking their health or having to compete when they maybe wouldn't otherwise want to given the pandemic. Well, now they know they're going to get an extra year of eligibility regardless if you compete or if you don't. So it's a nice boost for the athletes.
One interesting note, if you click on go to the tweet that this came from Jeff Goodman at Goodman Hoops, there's a lot of people in the replies who are saying this is awful news for the high school senior class. Now, mainly they're talking about basketball here, but they're talking about how there's gonna be less roster spots for incoming freshmen for next year because normally you have to deal with 4.5 years of people because they might have a couple fifth years, but now we're gonna have to deal with 5.5 years worth of people. Do you think that the high school athletes right now who are seniors are going to be affected by not being able to be on teams because of all these extra years given out to current college athletes?
No, I don't think so. I feel like we kind of figured this out or discussed this. I know every university is unique, but we talked with Dave Smith about this, and they certain institutions are going to open up more scholarships. They'll get this figured out. I don't think this is going to be a big issue. That it's not going to prevent recruiting from happening. Schools aren't going to have to. The big schools that we're used to covering aren't going to suddenly like, nope, we can't recruit this year because we still have X amount of athletes on scholarship. I just don't think. I think NCAA's made moves, and I'm sorry, I'm not more literate on this here, but they've made moves to allow for extra scholarships where need be, because they see that this is going to be an issue. And obviously they don't want there to be all of a sudden a big decrease in the number of high school athletes that are coming into the NCAA. They need that money. So I don't foresee this being an issue at all. There'll be more scholarships opened up, and something will get figured out to where we can deal with this, because this is obviously going to have an impact for years and years to come. If this pandemic continues and athletes are continuing to get more eligibility and some are staying, I mean, one part of the issue is going to be solved by some athletes are just going to go ahead and graduate, even if they have extra eligibility. But the few who will choose to stay and satisfy all the eligibility that they have, be it, getting 6 years on campus, I think that the extra scholarships will be made available for the institutions so that they can have a 7th-year athlete and have a new true college freshman. I just don't see it becoming an issue.
What about, though, being able to be on varsity? Like, you look at a school like NAU, who probably has like 8 guys who are probably good enough to be in their top 5, 2 more redshirt freshmen, so they probably have 10 guys already who are like top 7 material, and then all those guys are now going to return when they add in another freshman year class of 3 to 4 people, where like it's going to be harder and harder to make a top 7 on a good squad.
Yeah,
unless you're,
I mean,
you're like Drew Bosley or Nico Young.
That's a first world problem for the elite of the elite cross country programs. You can always transfer if you really are like, wow, I can't run at the NCAA championships, even though I'm an all-American caliber athlete. I mean, that's a problem of the super elite. Yeah, if you're somebody at NAU, at BYU, and you're like, because of all these people that are still around that wouldn't have been otherwise due to the pandemic, I can't crack my top 7. Well, I don't know, transfer or get better. It's not. That's not too significant of a problem as far as our viewing experience. And like I said, you could always if you're at NAU, you could go to Arizona and try your luck there. I don't imagine we'll see that, but there's always options to move around, to transfer if you are truly being blocked simply because there's so much talent on one roster.
One interesting side story on too much talent on our rosters. I remember when we were filming the Houston piece, the Houston docuseries from 2019 now, I guess it was. Wow, feels like forever ago. And I remember talking to Carl, and he was like, I think Leroy was there too. And they have a lot of good 100-meter guys, and they're like, why can we only put one 4x1 relay at nationals? Like, why can't we try to qualify a second team? You look at the 1500, there's not only one athlete represented per team. You could have 3 Oregon guys represented in the 1500. Why can't you have 2 relays represented in the 4x1, right? They both scored the same way, right? And looking into it, there is a rule written there down in the bottom of the bottom that says only 1 per team. But he made a good point. Like, why are we disadvantaging schools that have a good enough second 4x1 or 4x4 or DMR? Or in this case, I remember last year we talked about BYU could field 2 top 7s, right? Imagine if like you could qualify 2 schools, 2 teams from your school to nationals, right? Why not, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of sports. Like, what? So, like, I don't know. I mean, that's just, it goes against what we're used to thinking about sports. I mean, the 1500 is an individual event, and the 4x1 is a team event. It's a team, and I understand what you're saying. It just, I think they're trying to. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I mean, it just goes against the way we traditionally understand. But I mean, the U.S. on the international level, the precedent is set on the international level. I mean, the U.S. is clearly good enough to field multiple 4x1s and multiple 4x4s at the Olympic and World Championship level, but there's only 1 per country there too, because we want to see the best of the best from one country. I just don't. I think it would lose some of its special nature if we allowed multiple schools and be like, oh, it's a battle between Houston and Houston for the, it's just, it doesn't have
Yeah,
that
but you
same
have that.
drama, I don't think.
Well, there was that drama when Eric Jenkins and Edward Cheserek were duking it out. Like there were people upset
I
that there
understand what
were
you're saying.
two people on the same team going 1-2. Like no one complained. They're like,
Yeah.
all right. Like when
These are the
people, you
rules,
could
though.
have
These are just the
sweeps.
rules.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
there's
these are the
sometimes.
rules.
I mean, imagine though
Yeah.
if you could do that. Like if you could show like your dominance in an event where you could like sweep the 4x1. Like imagine if a school did that. It would be like this is incredible.
They
I mean,
swept.
the odds of it.
They got the top 8 places. They had 32 worthy 4x1 runners. That'd be pretty impressive.
No, you can sweep. You go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Sweep it.
Yeah. I hadn't really put a
saying.
lot of thought in this. You're the one who does the super outlandish, maybe not super outlandish, but off the wall scenarios in track and field, and I appreciate you for that. But I just, you're right.
I mean,
the individual events you get multiple entries, and the team events you don't. I don't know. Them's the rules.
And even when we were filming the NAU piece, I remember sitting in the room where they were deciding who the top 7 are, and they chose to run Blaze over Ryan Raff. And it wasn't just Ryan Raff. There was like 5 other guys who were sitting there just as alternates. That team of those alternates probably would have finished top 25. And so it's kind of crazy how they don't get to experience running, but the team that finishes 28th does. When clearly there are people out there like the B team of BYU.
Go to NAU.
I know it's a price you pay, but I think like if we really want the best of the best, we should if you can get 5 people on the line, who cares where you're from? Just, I don't know.
You need to join. Cool. You need to find your way onto a D1 council. You need to become a coach. That's the way for you to start changing.
The reason why it never happens is because it takes away opportunities from more student athletes from different schools, and everyone wants to be able to say they qualified. That's why we have 31 teams instead of 20, because we're like, hey, let's get more people who can put up a banner in their gymnasium saying they qualified. That's basically what we do.
Jeez, you're big. You're big activist against the participation trophy culture, aren't you?
I mean, we congratulate the 40th place finisher of a race. That's kind of a little weird, right?
All American. No? All American.
But are they like they're 40th? Why is the 40th place person that much better than the 41st place person? Like, what did he do or she do?
You gotta have
so great.
Got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, and why do we congratulate the top 4? Why isn't it top 3? Like everywhere in the world, it is top 3. There is
why do we only have one president? Why can't we have 2 presidents? Why can't Joe Biden and Donald Trump work together?
Name another competition where we celebrate 4th place. Where there's a 4th place spot on a podium. Hell, we're the only ones that do top 8. Like when you go to like a track meet, like in high school state championships, the podium is 8 spots. It's not 3 because they want to say this is the all-state team because they're all the top 8, right? Like
an all-American at the NCAA level. Yeah.
I don't
know.
All-American they do it.
Obviously,
top 8.
Olympic level is just top 3. I don't know. Everybody make the final. You're
Tour de France, it's top 3. Tour de France is top 3. Everywhere it's top 3. In tennis, it's only top 2. Right? They only care about the top 2. In soccer,
most sports,
it's
just the winner.
Yeah, in soccer they do a third place, but at least they only give a trophy to the 3rd place team, not the 4th place team that lost. I don't know. I feel like why are we giving out 4th place trophies and 40th place finishes? It doesn't make sense. Okay, for the record, I could never finish 4th on a team in cross country, and I could never personally finish 40th in the Division 1 or Division 80 cross country championships. But it is a little silly that we, you know,
Ne-
it is a little silly.
never say never. You could always go back to college.
I might have
And
that extra year now.
yeah, right. We all might. Okay, so moving on to the meat of this episode, or in my case, the tofu of this episode. We want to talk about the world records because we've been talking about them in mass this week. The world records that we think have a real good shot to fall in 2021. This year, we saw quite a few world records actually go down. And 2021, be it that we will hopefully, fingers crossed, have a return to normalcy in track and field, see a lot more world records fall. We want to try to get ahead of that and make some predictions about which ones will fall. So I have accumulated a list, did it, full disclosure, right before this episode. Accumulated a list of the events I think that have the best shot to fall in 2021 and gave them a percentage number that they will go down. So we'll start. I will start. My two highest, it's a tie for the top. Two highest percentage chances to fall. It's the men's and women's 400-meter hurdles. I put them at 90%, a 90% chance that these will go down. Do you agree with that assessment that the men's 400-meter hurdles, despite the fact that no one has run as fast as Kevin Young in over 28 years. Do you view it as a 90% chance that either Warholm or Samba or Benjamin will run under that 46.78?
90% chance is pretty high.
Pretty high.
And
I hold on, just before I put Samba and Benjamin in there. Obviously, the main target here is Warholm. He ran 46.87 in a year without any competition. I just think he gets a couple good guys on the track. He's going to run under that world record. But 90% is high. It's ambitious. It's
also interesting you put it at 90% after he literally went for it like 5 times in a row and didn't get it. Like, how many times does Carson need to fail at getting the world record for you to start thinking maybe he's not going to get it?
You think? I mean, so he ran 46.87 in Stockholm. I think historically that track's not super fast. I just think he was running out of steam by the end of the year. You give him a chance to train. I just feel so confident about this one going down. You can knock it down a peg, but is it a lower percent chance on your radar than the women's 400 hurdles? Who, yes, you have 2 women in Dalila Muhammad and Sydney McLaughlin. One, Muhammad, who already has the record, and McLaughlin, who now is the second fastest of all time. They're both still in their primes, and McLaughlin obviously maybe hasn't even entered her prime. You figure they can run under that mark, but the event kind of had an off year this year. Nobody did anything as far as either of those 2 women. So you think, maybe, maybe they're not going to be come out firing on all cylinders like Warholm might. But would you put the women's 400 hurdles at a higher chance than the men's?
Yes, I would put the women's definitely at a higher chance than the men's. I mean, you and Kevin have been, love struck with the Warholm factor of him running all these fast 47 mids, then it's 46.87 in the year of 2020.
A lot faster than
46.87. Yeah, but like he was running most of his times in 47 mid, right? When he was attempting the world record, he was running 47 mid. So my thing is like, is there a point where it's just not going to happen? Like, how many times will he have to attempt it and come up short? Will you realize maybe he's just like an all-time great, but he's not the great?
Well, it's not like he's spent like 10 years trying for this, and he's, it's basically he's gotten to this level in the last year and a half, and he's run 2 performances under 47 seconds, which if we look back historically, all of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 people have done. So when you've done more sub 47 performances than anyone else in history, and you are still only 24 years old, it just feels like the chances are real high that you haven't reached your ceiling.
Yeah.
But
I just think that
how high what percentage chance do you give of the women's 52.16 falling?
I'll give the women 80%, and
Yeah, I see you're less.
I'll give Warholm 50%.
Wow. Okay. You're not as ambitious as me, but let's move
World
right
records
along.
don't grow on trees, man. They don't grow on trees.
They kind of did this year, though. And I felt like if it, in a down year in 2020, if we're going to get 6, 7 world records, we should get like 40 in 2020. No, I'm just kidding.
Here,
Not 40, but
here you go, Lincoln. I'll help. I'll use my point. I'll use your point against you. The reason
Okay.
why we've had world records this year is because of the wave-like technology, and wave-like technology is a non-factor when it comes to these sprinting records. So that's why they're harder to break, because they don't have the technology that you say is the only reason
they need that. That's
they,
like what Kevin and I were talking about. They just need to dial up the wavelight technology to 957, and you're going to see a ton of sprinters running 957 in the 100. Okay, moving right along, we have one that fell this year, the men's pole vault. I put it at 80%. 618 is a big bar, but when Mondo Duplantis was really crushing it, it looked like he was ready to go like into the 6.2s. I put 80% that Mondo Duplantis, either indoor or out, raises his 618 bar. Do you agree with that assessment? Obviously, it's optimistic again at 80%. I know world records,
I would put
like you
it
said, don't grow on trees, but
I'll put
he was
it at
on fire all
95%.
year.
I'll
Oh,
put it at
wow.
95%. Yeah, I'll
That
go
high.
higher, because I think he is making he's making 6 meters, like running, doing it backwards. I think his goal is going to be 620, right? I think that's his new thing, because it'll be cool to see that 6.2 on the board. So I think 95%. I think he's young, he's agile, he has nothing else to do, right? It's like, hey, why don't we just try this now? Like, he's going to win competitions after his first vault. So every competition he's in, it's going to be like, all right, let's try it now. Like, he'll enter the competition at 595, get it. No one else will have it, and then now he's just like going for 620. So
entering at 595. That's I don't think that we've seen that. That would be. I mean, not impossible, but man, you're
there's going to be a point
at a height that would win most international international championship competitions. That'd be pretty eye popping even for him.
I think there's going to be a point where he will win a competition with one vault.
Wow. It seems possible. It's interesting because
what I really would want to see is
I have to wonder if Kendrick's is tailing off.
Everyone get everyone get eliminated before you even bother to put your shoes on. Yeah, just wait for everyone to get eliminated, and you're like, oh, what is it now? Oh, 610. Okay, let me just put my shoes on.
Oh my, right, 610 is not gonna be at 610. Yeah, it'll be at like 580 something. Yeah, that'd be a flex.
You should sleep during the competition. Yeah, you just go take a nap, watch a Netflix movie, and wait for everyone. Someone taps him on the shoulder. Hey, there's no one left. Oh, okay. Takes his warm up off. Jogs, vaults, wins, goes home, collects a check.
In a more realistic nature, I mean, that would be funny and hilarious to watch, albeit it would take a very long time for the pole vault to be completed. But what's the number you think we end 2021 as the world record? You gave it a very, very high chance of the record falling. Do you have a number in mind? Like, will it be 625? Where do you think the bar will be?
No, 6.2.
Just 6.2? 620?
Yeah.
I almost feel like he's going to go higher. I remember a tweet way back in the day. By way back in the day, I mean February, where Sandy Morris was like, it looks like Mondo could jump over 6'3". He's so high over the bar. And I am holding out hope that he is like coming out so hot that he's like just taking it that high, going to the 6'3s. And that is, where he maybe doesn't enter the competition until everyone else is already out. It's not impossible with the level he reached. It's quite incredible. All right, moving right along. We'll try to run through these a little bit quicker. The women's 5,000, I put it at 70%. We saw Tezenbeck Gade lower it to 1406. I've been on record quite frequently over the last week saying it's stunning that basically the third best 5,000 meter runner in the world is a world record holder. So I expect one of, if not both, Savannah Hassan and Helen Obiri to lower this mark if they get the opportunity. I put it at 70%. I think we got several candidates that could lower this mark. 70%. What do you think about that number?
Too high. I'm going 30%
Wow.
because the opportunity. Is there
Yeah.
going to be an opportunity? I think that in an Olympic year, you're not out there
Mhm.
trying to time trial. You're
Yeah.
trying to peak for, you know, having that last 1K be your best 1K ever. And I think that Alberry and Hassan are just going to be training for racing. And I don't
Mm.
think they're going to
I
be
hope
really
not.
caring about running 1407. I
See,
think
yeah,
they're going to
14,
save that for
1406. But yeah.
another time. 1406,
Yeah,
yeah. Sorry.
Hassan likes running fast though, I think. And I even if it has to come in like an Olympic final, I could see her going for it. We obviously saw the fact that she ran 351 in the 1500 after the 10,000 in Doha, basically almost going for the world record in the 1500 in a 1500 final in her second event. So I I imagine she'll take a crack at it in Monaco or something like that. I don't think that she's just because it's an Olympic year and maybe she also runs world indoors that she's all of a sudden just going to be conceding, letting this mark last. I think she saw what Gaudet did and said that record needs to be mine. I'm going to break 14 minutes. So I really want to. I feel strongly on the 70%. I think it could come at any meet. It doesn't just have to be a specially designed 5,000 meter race. All right, moving right along. The women's 10,000, another effort that involves Safan Hassan. She just ran 29:36 in horrible conditions. The record 29:17 from the 2016 Olympic final. Almaz Ayana. I put it at 50% because I think seeing what Ayana did in Rio, I think Hassan's going to have similar designs to say, I'm going to try to break this world record in the Olympic final. 50%. Is that number too high for you?
Yeah, I think that's good. 50%. I think the women's 10K is more likely than the women's 5K for some
Yeah.
weird reason.
Even with the lack of opportunities, I just think in the Olympics, Hassan is just so good. I mean that I don't know how we can possibly convert or put a conversion on her 29:36, but in that horrible sub 50-degree weather, rain, wind, that had to be worth a world record in good conditions. And if she gets that in Rio, or excuse me, in Tokyo, I think she gets it done. Okay, moving right along. The at least on my board, the percent chances have dropped off considerably. I'm interested what you think of this number. Next event, men's shot put. I put it at 25%. Now, I know Ryan Krauser's been crushing it in the high 22s all year long, but that 23:12, a mark that a lot of people put a serious question mark or asterisk on, that's a tough one to crack. So I put that on 25%, which is really high when you consider the fact that that record has not been, no one's come close to that in 30 years. Is that too high, appropriate, or where do you feel? What do you think Krauser's chances are hitting that world record in 2021?
I think he's got a 23.12%.
I like it. Very nice.
No,
That's
but like his consistency of 22 is great, but that isn't really the same as being able to throw 23. I think that
yeah.
like his odds of winning, I think, are probably 90% of winning Olympic gold because of his
Mm-hmm.
consistency. But the odds of a world record, I just think, are a lot harder because you could throw 22 every day, backwards, forwards, sideways, but like it's hard to get that one throw, you know? So I
I
just,
agree.
I would say it's lower. But again, the odds of him winning are extremely high because of
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
2020 performance.
25%. Like I said, I did this real quick before the show. 25% feels a little high, maybe more in the 10 to 15%
Yeah.
range. But whatever, we're moving right along. I'm going to pair these next two, the men's 5 and 10,000 races. I put them both at 25%. It just depends on if Joshua Cheptegei gets another opportunity or wants to. It's really just up to him. He's the only one I think who can possibly do this. It comes down to opportunity. It's not going to be like in the women's race or women's competition where you can expect to see this in an Olympic final or anything like that. It's just, does Joshua Cheptegei want to try to lower his 5,000? And does he want to try to break 26 minutes in the 10K? certainly would seem possible given his skill set, but will the opportunity be there? I put it at 25%. That may be a little high. What are your thoughts on those two events?
I put it at like 1% chance. I
Oh,
think he's
wow.
not like,
You don't
yeah,
think he's going to
he's
take
not
another
going to
crack?
try. No, he's going to be like, all
So
right,
these were like his Ineos 159. This is like this year was like a once in a lifetime for him.
yeah. And I think he's going to be focused on trying to win the double, right? He's going to be like, that's
Yeah.
my goal. And I shouldn't be
Yeah.
messing around doing wave like technology training,
Well,
as he
here's
would
the
put
only
it.
argument against that is he's doing these 5 and 10,000 records, specifically the 10,000 record. He did it 10 days before he's running the World Half Championship. So it's not like he's worried too much about it completely burning him out. I know the World Half is different than the Olympic Games, considerably so, but I don't think he'd be running this World Half if he thought the 10,000 is just going to completely wreck him. So maybe he goes for one of these again. Uh, as long as he recovers this year, well from it. It's not a high likelihood, 25%. But if he, the confidence there, the number is 25% because I think if he goes for it, he's going to do it. It's just a matter of does he go for either?
Yeah, I just think he's going to want to have in his, like, I just he wants to get reps of racing and not reps of time trialing, because when you time trial over and over again, and then all of a sudden it's an Olympic final and it's like a fartlek out there, you're gonna be like, wait a minute, I'm not prepared for this type of
Yeah.
situation. So
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. I'm still going to leave it at the 25% in my mind because if he goes for it, he's going to get
sounds
it.
good.
Okay, men's 400 is next at 20%. I felt real ambitious here. 20%. Michael Norman, you got to stay healthy. Wade Van Niekerk probably not going to be back on his 2016 levels. I think this all falls on the shoulders of Michael Norman. Is 20% too high for Michael Norman to run under 43.03? I don't think it is.
20% is too low. I think it's more
Oh,
50%. I
oh,
think his
oh.
100 meter mark that he threw down shows that he's healthy. He still has his speed. He's going to be well rested, right? He was burnt out. That's why he didn't even make the world final last year after running so fast in April at Mount Sac. Now he's had a true full year of just being able to get his legs under him again and not be going for broke. He's so separated from the college world of running multiple races. He's going to be fresh. And I think he is the talent that is able to break 43 seconds. So I think it's 50% chance. And I think he would
Wow.
do it. I think he would do it in an Olympic final.
I've been trying to predict it every year for the last 2 years, and didn't happen in 2019, obviously, and then in 2020, we all know what happened in 2020. Michael Norman's still only 22 years old. He'll be 23 years old at the Olympics in 2021. Yes, very much still young, and very much still has a lot of racing ahead of him. 50% feels high. I thought I was going ambitious at 20%. But I'd like to hear somebody else as excited about the 400 record as I am, because it doesn't feel like it's getting as much talk about. But you break the world record, real good shot, and you're running in the 42s. And that happens. That's one of the best performances, if not the best performance in track and field history. So, man, that bait is out there for Michael Norman. It's got to be exciting to go to practice every single day for him. Okay, moving right along, and we're trying to wrap this up quickly. I put the women's steeplechase at 20% as well, tied with the men's 400, at least on my record, on my books. It's always up to Beatrice Chepkoech. 844 is a pretty outlier mark, but feels like she could always attack that one. You don't have to respond to that. We're just going quickly here. The women's, I do want you to talk about these two though. The women's 1500 and the men's 1500. I have the women's at 18% and the men's at 17.5. Now the women's 1500 is, I would say, between two women in Sifan Hassan and Faith Kipyegon. I have it slightly above the men because of what Sifan Hassan did in Doha. But the men also, you got Timothy Chariot, you got Jakob Ingebrigtsen. Doesn't seem like it's impossible. Which one do you think is a higher probability, the men or the women?
I would say the women, but I also think that there will be attempts at these records in Monaco next year. Both. I think it's going to be like when Kiprop and Dababa went for it in
Yeah.
Monaco. I was there, I believe. It was 2015 or 16. I'm not sure what year it was when they both went for it. Dababa got it. Kiprop didn't.
15.
15?
15.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Monaco is going to be the 1,500 world record attempts on the women's and men's side.
Yeah.
And I think they both have a legitimate chance.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I'm betting, man, I would say they don't get it because I just think it's hard. But I could literally see a timeline in our future where Chariot and Hassan both have it. So
yes, definitely still a ways to go for Timothy Chariot. I mean, he's nearly 2.5 seconds behind. Hisam El Garouche 326 flat. You do have to run in the 325s to get the world record. That seems pretty tough. And so maybe the 0.5% edge I give the women should be a little bit higher, considering, again, that Savannah Hassan ran 351.95, less than 2 seconds away from the world record in a final. But I don't know. She's got multiple events to focus on. I just like Chariot being in that 1,500, having Ingebrigtsen to push him. Maybe they reach, new heights this year. We saw Ingebrigtsen run 328. He's still... well, he's just now 20 years old. A lot of years ahead for him. I think that record could surprise some people by being under threat, even though we kind of look at El Garouche as being at a completely different level historically than the rest of the 1,500. All right, moving along, I have the women's 400, which is 47.60, and a lot of people look at it as being, quote unquote, not a entirely... not a record that's loaded with integrity, if you will.
okay.
But if we still have, if Salwa Eid Nasser somehow does not get a ban and miss the Olympics, she's third on the all-time list at 48.14, and of course we also know that Shani Miller-Weibo 48.37. I put, let me go back to my sheet, a 15% chance that one of those two women gets under the 47.60. Is that too much?
Yeah, it's way too much. It's 0% chance. It's not happening.
It's a 0. Wow.
0. I think, yeah. I don't think they're running 47s anytime soon. 0%.
Okay. I would put it, well, obviously I would put it higher than a 0% chance. I didn't know we were going to that level. Just say it has no chance.
It's just my opinion.
So I have as much of a chance of breaking the women's 400 world record as Shani Miller-Weibo and
yeah,
Salwa
you do.
Nasser. Wow.
You guys are on the same
I feel good about that.
equal foot.
I feel good. No, they ran 48.14 and 48.37. And neither woman could have even expected that. I mean, that was, now say what you will about Nasser, she may end up being suspended, so that could knock down this chance significantly. But Miller-Weibo, I don't think anyone can say she's reached her peak in the 400. She's still very, very young and improving her speed, certainly. And we saw her run under 11 seconds in the 100 meters in 2020. So if you're going to have that logic for Norman, wow, he's improved his speed in the 100. Well, feels like you should have that same, I don't know, that same outlook on Shani Miller-Weibo. Now, I guess you could point to the women's 400 record being 47.6 and saying that's clearly doped and untouchable, but I'm not closing the door. 15%, okay, maybe a little bit too high, but 0%, come on. There's never.
You want me to give you all right? You want me to give you a 0.5% to make it better?
Yeah, give me that
0.5%. 0.5%. There you go.
Okay. The women's high jump. It's been at 209 since 1987. Maria Lasaskine last year jumped 206. I put this at a 12% chance. Should that be higher?
No.
You believe in Lasaskine?
It's also a sub 5% chance.
Well, here's the problem, though. We also have the issue with Russian athletes and authorized neutral athletes. They need to kind of clean up their act so their neutral athletes can compete. So that's part of the consideration here. Lasiskene's been an ANA athlete for several years now, but Russia, the bill has come due to World Athletics, and they're not wanting to pay it. So that could be a consideration. Will Lasiskene be at the Olympic Games is a serious question. But if she's there competing in 2020, I give it a better than 5%. I'm going to go 12%. Like I said, 206. She's only got 0.03 meters. I don't know how many inches that is.
You mean 3? You mean 3 centimeters?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
0.03 meters, 3 centimeters. So centimeter is what, like that?
That's all she's got.
That's pretty big, man.
Okay.
No, don't clip that. That's pretty big, man. Don't clip that.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but wow, that was incredible. Okay. Well, we'll close this out with a couple events that I know you love. The men's 200, I put it at 5%. Noah Lyles would obviously be the only candidate. 1919 is a ridiculous time, but he's run 1950. 5%, is that too high for Noah Lyles?
That's fair. Give him 5%. I do think 5%. Noah Lyles will flirt with that record in the next 4 years, I think, for sure. So maybe it's not this next year, but I do think he will be running. He's going to run at least a 9.4 and a 9.3 in the next 2 years. And then all of a sudden we're going to be like, hey, when's his 1919 coming? So,
yeah. All right. I would put 5%. I mean, I know I wrote the line, so I kind of have to say it's right, but I now I think it's a little high. I think it's more along the 1% or maybe even the 0.5%. Sorry, I'm still struggling a little bit. All right, last one, and we'll get out of here. The men's 800, 2.5%. I know you have a lot of faith in your boy. Why can't I think of his name?
Come on, man. UTEP, baby. Career.
Emmanuel Career. Obviously, this is a focus for Donovan Brazier. 2.5% shot that Donovan Brazier runs under 140.91. I guess you could also put, I can't think of anybody's name right now. The guy on OTC Elite, whatever. Mr. One. Hold on. I'm going to get his name. Hold on.
Nigel Amos.
Nigel Amos. Just can't think of it. Also a possibility for him, but 140.91 feels pretty far away. So I said 2.5%. You higher or lower than that?
I think it's higher. I think we might see it, and I think it could be. I think it could easily not be Brazier. I think if it happens, it most likely would be Brazier. But we could have a 2012 Olympic. We could have a 2012 style Olympic final, right? I could totally see that happen. And all of a sudden, we're like, holy crap. And I think at like 400, they're going to be out in 48 seconds. And we're going to be like, wait a minute. And then we're going to be like, with 200 to go, we're going to be like, he's not tired yet. And then we're going to start freaking out. And then we're going to be doing clock watching in the final 50 meters. Again, it could come up short and run like 141 flat and be like, whoa. Like I think we're more likely to see an incredible 141 than we are to see an incredible world record. But
141, pretty good too.
Yeah, 141 is pretty good. I would say 141 is 80% chance. 140 is in the 5% chance.
Wow. Yeah,
I think Donovan's going to pop one.
2.5% feels like it. Brazier showed in his limited action in 2020, he's like firmly in control, even if things aren't going his way. So he's like put himself even higher up on the pedestal than the 800, like kind of what he talked about to need to reach that Rudisha level. But yeah, I'm going to need to see some consistency in that 141 range before I think the 140.91 is going to happen. But the Olympics can absolutely bring out the best. And yeah, if they go out really, really hard, who knows? 2.5% shot. I will say it there, but you'll put it just a little bit higher. All right, that will do it for today's sporadic and wild show. Kevin and Gordon will be back tomorrow for more from the FloTrack podcast. We will see you then.